Hello everyone, how are you guys tonight? It is Thursday night, hallelujah, and you guys are here live on the Dixie Belle Paint Facebook page with Brandy. My name is Brandy, I'm from Brushed by Brandy. I am a Dixie Belle Paint brand ambassador. Here for my second live today. If you guys didn't catch it this morning, we had a riot this morning. All of us 9 brand ambassadors painted together, and we had a good time. If you want to learn anything about painting, don't go watch it, but we just had a really good time. We have an awesome team here at Dixie Belle. So tonight, I am coming on to paint with you. I paint with you guys live every Thursday night, and tonight we are going to cover basic furniture repairs. I posted a piece this week, and I got a lot of requests to come on and talk about how am I even going to get this to the point where I can clean it and start painting it. It's not even there yet. So we're going to go way back to the very beginning of when you first pick up a piece, things to look for, things to notice, and how to fix them if you see them. My husband Sean is here tonight, you guys. Pop on if you have any questions and let us know, and we'll answer those along the way, but we're going to fix stuff tonight.
So, big question.
Yes, huge.
Are you Brandy or the imposter Brandy?
I don't know. I'll let you guys decide. I don't know. Am I? We're just going to start screwing with your head on lives a little bit, I guess, huh?
We're just screwing up either way.
No, I got to play Melissa this morning, so I wore a wig. And what I learned is painting with a wig on your head gets really sweaty. So we're going to go without the wig tonight. And then I had my dog out here who you guys probably couldn't tell, but she was eating my headphones. She was drinking my, it was apple cider, but my wine. Every time I sat it down, she would have her tongue in the glass. So, painting with my dog out here, there's a reason I don't.
Sounds familiar.
So this is the piece I'm going to work on here. And it's a really, really pretty piece of furniture, but it needs some love. It's got tons of veneer issues. A couple of them I've started already just so that I can show you the stages as we go through. And then a couple I'm going to start with you from scratch here on camera. It's a really pretty piece. It's got great bones, but it's got a lot of cosmetic damage. It's missing moldings, missing a molding, missing. There's one over there missing. There's one right here missing. Down here.
So you're saying it needs improvements.
I'm missing a lot of moldings. I've got a lot of veneer issues. Little chips in the veneer. There's a chip right here. This was a big area where the veneer was missing. I went ahead and patched that because it wasn't going to be able to dry on camera for me to show you guys. We'll work on that tonight. I'm missing some veneer across the bottom of this drawer. So these are all things that need to be fixed before I can even get to the point of cleaning this and priming it. I'm not even there yet. So I'm going to start first. We're going to talk about just patching some of these veneer spots. And what I like to do to patch small repairs is I use Dixie Mud. So Dixie Mud is a cool product, you guys, because you can use it for repairs, which is what I'm going to use it for tonight, but you can also use it for decorative finishes too. This is great for raised stenciling. Great for raised stenciling. So it comes in white, black, and brown. I'm going to be using the brown tonight. And the reason is I'm going to paint over it, so the color doesn't really matter. So the reason I'm choosing the brown out of these is it matches the color of my wood, so it'll take my paint fairly consistently. I've already got this one opened and mostly used, whereas these are newer containers, so we're just going to keep going with the brown. But when you're going to paint over it, the color doesn't really matter. You could choose, for example, white. If you wanted to do a raised stencil, you could do your raised stencil in white. Or black, and then you don't have to paint over it. You can clear coat over it if you like. So what I use when I'm going to go ahead and patch a spot with my Dixie Mud, I get a couple things out. Number one, you need a putty knife, and this is the plastic putty knife. You don't want a metal one because you can take the chance of scraping your wood if you're using a metal putty knife. So I just use a plastic putty knife. This is from Dixie Belle also. And then I like to have popsicle sticks. And the reason is because my mud is down here, and sometimes you need to stir it. So I'll stir it using my popsicle stick, and then I can grab it out of the bottom using this and kind of glob it onto my piece. The putty knife fits, but I don't need that much because I'm just doing some small repairs to start with. So if you can see on camera, I want to get this, I'm going to come do this little tiny spot right here. And this is a divot. It's a divot in my veneer. It's actually a missing piece in there. So it's below the surface. So I need to get it back up to level. So when I fill with Dixie Mud, I always overfill my spots. And that's because I can always sand it back. But if you underfill, you're gonna have a base in there. You're gonna make a hole, and I want it to be level when I'm done. So I like to give myself a little bit of extra mud. Dixie Mud sands really, really, really easily. It will sand away before you even expect that it will sand away. So I give myself a little bit of extra so I have plenty to work with. And then I'm going to come along here and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to pull this out, and I'm going to fill the bottom of this drawer. So you can see right here, it's got the same problem where it's just missing a little bit of that veneer and it's not a level surface anymore.
So when's the last time you refrigerated that mud up there of yours?
Probably never. But I'll tell you what, I did learn the hard way why you have to refrigerate mud. You guys, once you open Dixie Mud, you want to put it in the refrigerator because it does mildew. It's got moisture in it. So it will either start molding or it will dry out if you don't keep it in the refrigerator. Usually I go through my containers pretty quickly, so I've never actually had one start either one of those. This one did start molding, and so I just, you know, like cheese, I just scraped the mold off the top. And it's still good underneath there. Thankfully, I caught it before the whole container was bad, but I got to see firsthand that it really does mold. I think temperature also plays a big part, and I store everything in my garage, which gets really hot in the summertime, and we're getting to higher temperatures.
Oh, so you need to have a air-conditioned garage space.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to complain or anything, but if you guys know someone who could take care of that for me.
Don't send them our way.
My garage is fully insulated, so I keep my products in here year-round, but temperature absolutely matters to how you store your paint products. We are below the snow line. We don't get snow where I am, you know, unless it's like a totally freak storm. So I'm just filling this little tiny line down here.
How does mud do with staining? Does it accept it okay?
It does. You can stain over mud. Now with any type of wood filler, it's going to stain a slightly different color than your wood species would. Wood. How much wood would a woodchuck chuck?
Oh, man.
It's going to stain a slightly different color.
Now, did you clean this or sand this before you put this on?
No, I didn't. Because I'm going to have to do all these repairs, and then I'm going to clean it, and then I'm going to sand any uneven spots. So we're going to do all that stuff tonight. I wanted to be able to show you guys, so I didn't do any of that to it.
We're starting raw.
Yeah, we're starting raw. This is exactly how I brought her home. Super pretty piece, but it just needs some love. So the next thing, we're going to let this mud dry, and then I'll come back. This is fairly shallow. So
now I want to show the difference in color.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to talk about. When you first put it on, it starts out as a darker color, and as it starts to dry, see how it turned to a lighter shade of brown? So I can tell that this is completely dry. This is a patch that I did here, and then this is still wet. So we'll keep an eye on this as we're going tonight and let this dry, and we're going to come back and sand those in a little bit. But I need to start another repair because it's going to take a little bit of time. And that is, I need to recreate these moldings here. So I wanted to give you guys a few different ways of how you can recreate molds. So I'm going to go ahead and pop this drawer out. Now, one thing I look for when I'm looking at a piece that has missing moldings is I want to see, does it have one that I can copy? So for example, if I'm missing a piece that's got a curve on it, I can't use a curve going the opposite direction. It will cast a mirror image when I try to cast it. I need one that's going the same direction that I can cast. So see, this is missing here. I've got a sister to it over here that I can cast a replica from. This piece here is whole. I can cast a replica for this side. I cannot cast this and put it here. It would be facing the wrong direction. So that's something to pay attention to when you're missing a piece, is see if you have something on the furniture piece itself. Now on straightaways, it doesn't necessarily have to be from a side of the drawer. So of the center drawer, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 moldings. 3 of them are missing. If I was missing even this 4th one, I could cast it from this straightaway here, as long as I've got some straightaway. But on curved pieces, you need to make sure that you've got a side that matches. Some repairs I don't like to do. I do not like to, if it's missing drawer glides. Drawer glides are a pain in the rear. So one thing, I always make sure that I've got the drawer glides, that they're in reasonably good condition. It better be one heck of a good piece if I'm missing drawer glides. So this has solid wood drawer glides. They're all intact. None of my drawers stick, thankfully. Oh, I just spotted another veneer issue. I'm going to patch really quick. Right here, the corner of this drawer is missing some too. I'm going to try to do this all at one time so that I don't have to come back and redo it again. So that's just a little chip on the corner.
Tiffany's trying to beat us to the punch.
What?
As far as what you use to cast a mold.
Oh, I'm going to give you a whole bunch of different options. I'm going to show you a few different materials you can use to make molds with. Huh? How do you like them apples? I always got something up my sleeve. Okay, so that's a couple more repairs. Over here, let's go ahead and make a mold.
You make a mold.
You do it. You're not the boss of me.
You don't tell me what to do.
Okay, so I'm going to show you first the most basic way to make a mold using something that we all probably have in our home.
One of Sean's dirty t-shirts?
Yes, exactly. You want to mold it with a dirty t-shirt. And that is hot glue. This is not my favorite method, and you guys are going to see why. So I'm going to show you different methods so that you guys can make a decision as to how you want to do this yourself at home. Okay, with a hot glue gun, number one, you want to start with a hot glue gun that's the larger guns. The little baby tiny hot glue guns don't work for this because you need the glue to express quickly, and it doesn't come out of those little glue guns fast enough.
Shut it, Sheila.
So this is a high temp gun. It's a high capacity, and then I buy the mega glue sticks for it too.
Sheila said that I could just make wood glides.
We don't want to Now, don't get me wrong. Sean has made wood glides for me before, and you can get them at like Rockler, which is a woodworking store, but they tend to be a little more specialty. So unless I want to drive 40 minutes into the Sacramento to go to the Rockler, I just try to avoid that. Home Depot has some, but they're usually the roller glides that go on the side of the drawer, so they're not this wooden kind. I can't even. Too complex for me. Okay, so we're going to talk about how to make a mold using hot glue. So the first thing you want to do is you're going to need some cooking spray. And the cooking spray is going to lubricate your surface so that you can pop your hot glue mold off. So I'm just going to lightly mist.
Getting ready to barbecue.
And then you're going to bake at 350 for 45 minutes. No, I'm kidding.
Throw some chicken on that puppy.
Put this in the oven. I'm just going to make sure it gets all the way into the crevices, but I've just lubricated my surface with a little bit of cooking spray. Okay, now I'm going to take my hot glue gun, and I hope that it's heated enough that this will come out quickly. So I need to cover this whole section in hot glue, but I need to do it fairly consistently so that I don't get bubbles in the mold.
No pressure. Oh, that looks fun.
Yeah, this is, so I'm just going back and forth. My glue's starting to run out, so I'm going to pop a new stick in here and hope that it melts by the time I get to it. If I only end up with a portion of it, I could still work with that. Yeah, I'm getting to the end of my glue stick. I'm starting to get more and more bubbles in it. I'm going to come up here.
I guess I'm on the wrong side to say that this is like watching paint dry.
Yeah. Oh, someone's going to get offended by that. We like watching paint dry. You want to make sure that you get it nice and consistent. Otherwise, you end up with a lot of air bubbles in your mold, and it's going to cast an imperfect mold. Whatever flaws you have when you're creating the mold, those flaws are going to show up in your applique too. Okay, am I the only one who gets frustrated by, I want to call everything a mold, but the mold is what you cast from, and the applique is the result of the mold. I know it's correct, but I want to call them both a mold. So I'm getting to my fresh hot glue stick here, and there's really no way around that, but it's not expressing as quickly. So I may let this sit for a minute and come back when my glue is a little softer. See, it's starting to give me like beads. It's starting to bead up, and I really want it to be this nice liquid that I got in the first part. Now, as quickly as I put that on, I've got a lot of tiny air bubbles in here, and I can see them. And those air bubbles, each one of them means a little tiny air bubble that's going to show up in my applique. So I'm going to set that aside for a minute. Number one, the glue needs to dry. I'm going to come back and we'll finish putting the glue on it, but I'm going to show you a couple other ways you can cast a mold at the same time. Okay, what do I like to use? Clay. This stuff is really nice. So
Play-Doh?
this, yeah, it's like adult Play-Doh. So this is a modeling clay, and it's made by Aluminolite, who is the company that makes amazing resin. Now this does not dry, so I can use this over and over and over and over again if I want to cast a mold of this, and then I can smash it back into a ball, and I can cast a mold of this and smash it back into a ball. So I took a piece of my clay. It's synthetic modeling clay, safe and non-toxic, reusable, and non-drying. So I'm giving you this as an option. This is probably the higher end, more appropriate option versus something that we would all have at home, which is what the hot glue is. And then I'm using another portion of this same straight molding. It's just from a different drawer, but I rolled this out into kind of a worm shape, and I'm just molding it around my missing piece here.
Aluminolite, you say?
Aluminolite? Aluminolite?
That would be correct.
They are the company who makes amazing resin. A-L-U-M-I-L.
Aluminolite.
Yeah. I'll put a link on the post when I'm done. Okay, so I can go ahead and mold this to the shape. And this is reusable. So if you do this a lot, this is an awesome tool to have. And make sure I get it in there nice and tight. I want a clean mold. I've got to replicate this 3 times. This is probably a little too long. I probably only need about this much, but I'd rather have it too long than too short. And I'll show you what I'm going to do to the ends here in a minute. So once I feel like I've got it nice and tight, I'm going to carefully peel my clay back. Okay, and I've got a really nice mold here. So one thing you want to do to the ends of your mold, because I need to fill this, is I want to make sure my ends are pinched. And this is too long, so it's okay if I mess up this end right here. And I'll show you why. We're going to fill this with a liquid, with a resin. And if the ends aren't, guess what? It just pours out the other end.
Just for clarification purposes, because I enjoy these things. Is it nice and tight, or is it quick and thick?
Both.
I'm so confused right now.
It's both. Okay, so I've got one mold here. I actually cast another one out of a, I'm going to tell you guys a funny story. I got some new stuff to try out, and one of them was this modeling putty, right? And I thought, oh, it's like this clay. I can reuse it, so I'll pre-mix it before my live, and then we can play with the modeling putty.
So cool.
It sets up much faster than I thought.
So what did we make?
So I cast myself this rubber ball.
Look, a moon rock.
Yeah. But this is another product that casts it into a rubber. So this, if you have a mold of something that you want to keep and be able to reuse, this is a cool product, because then I could mold this here And I can have it to put on 100 pieces after the fact. So I've got a rubber mold. We'll compare them all. I've got my clay mold. Let's finish up my hot glue mold. And we'll pop them all off. And I'm going to cast all three at the same time.
Looks like a hot mess.
Yeah, hot mess, hot glue mold.
Does hot glue have any... I mean, this is just for my own personal thought.
Asking for a friend?
Asking for 500 of my friends. Does the hot glue have any issues with the laminate? No?
No, it doesn't.
Like it heats it or warps
no,
it?
it's not gonna ruin it or burn it or anything. It's going on wood. This is this isn't laminate. Okay, let me go back. If it's laminate furniture, laminate is a plastic over wood. So yeah, I would avoid this on a laminate piece. This is veneer. Veneer and laminate are different things. Veneer is a thin layer of real wood over another species of wood. Laminate is a plastic over wood. And usually not even real wood. Usually it's, particle board.
Don't judge.
Yeah. Sorry, IKEA. All right. So this part's dry right here. I'm going to let this dry and then we can pop this off and we'll cast it. But I can show you. All I have to do, because I sprayed it with that cooking spray. See, I've got flaws in my mold. I've got a hole right there where the glue was too thin.
Oh, it's just too
I need
much.
to fill that. So this is a little bit, I guess it's just convenience. The clay is nicer to have, but people are more likely to have the hot glue gun on hand. So I need to let that dry now because I just patched a couple thin spots in it. I'm going to go ahead and mix up my resin. When you are going to fill your mold, we just made ourselves a mold. When you're going to fill it, you can fill it with anything that you would cast your regular molds with. So some people prefer air dry clay from the craft store, modeling material from Redesign with Prima, which I've got right here.
So what made this?
It's a rubber putty. Do you want to go get that yellow rubber putty? It's in the box in the hallway in the house. Sure. Did I bring it out here? No, I didn't bring it out here. It's a really cool product, but you have to, it would be more for reusable molds than like this is a single time. Although now I've got a rubber one that I'm going to keep. But look at this cool ball I made. My kids are going to have a blast.
Yeah, bounces in the same spot every time.
It's not even,
man.
It's not even perfectly round.
So
Okay.
embarrassing.
So the Redesign with Prima modeling material, it comes like this, and it's like a Play-Doh, and this will dry hard. But I could take this and smash it into my mold. We'll go ahead and cast one using this just so you can see it. Now this stuff is harder if you have a really fine mold. It's a little harder to cast. It also is subject to some cracking and shrinkage. I know, it was cold in the pool. Couldn't resist.
Well, you beat me to it. I mean,
to use this is the Redesign with Prima modeling material. I've got a little too much. I'm going to force it into my mold. This rubber mold is much nicer to work with because I'm not going to break it. So this is what I made it with, what I made the yellow rubber with, what I made my rubber bouncy ball with. It's amazing mold putty. So when I tell you they make amazing resin, they make this mold putty too.
not to show preference of anything, but I just want to send a shout out to Maria from Chile.
Ooh, Maria, are you from Chile? Are you like vacationing in Chile and just couldn't miss your weekly Dixie Belle live? I don't think Dixie Belle is in Chile yet. I don't know. Okay, so I just forced that modeling material in there. This is not my favorite way to make molds. So now I would need to come along and I would cut the sides of this off with a razor blade.
And Linda said that was a Seinfeld reference. And I totally,
Yep.
Good old Costanza.
We've seen every episode.
Ireland? Oh.
So this, I would clean up this modeling material, and then it's going to harden, and I can attach this to my dresser. But again, it's subject to shrinking and cracking. So you may end up, if you use the modeling material to repair your moldings, you may end up having to patch them later once they're dry. And then this would be my straight piece that I'm missing.
So if you were to use the material in here,
yes.
What's the reusable, is there any residue left behind?
On my dresser. It does have a couple pieces of the clay that
when you cast it.
Oh, when I cast it.
Yeah.
No.
I guess either or.
No, we're going to cast it tonight. We're going to cast one with, I want to use all three of these molds so I can show you. So we're going to cast all of these. Okay, this is a little shorter than my dresser piece, but that's okay. I do have a couple holes in it. Can you guys see these holes in it? I've got one right here, one right here.
I see everything.
Those are air bubbles that were in my hot glue. Let me show you this other side. See all the air bubbles that were inside there?
It looks so clean.
Yeah, I'm going to patch this with some hot glue so that when I cast it, it doesn't leak out because I'm going to use a liquid resin. I make my molds out of resin. I just burned myself with a hot glue gun. The other thing you want to make sure that you do on these is that you seal up your ends. So I'm going to I'm going to make like a dam here, if you will.
Oh, now you're an engineer.
Yeah. So the ends, it just kind of fades off. You've got to close off the end or you can't cast it as a mold. So I just made a little dam with hot glue and I sealed off the end of that. So that's got a couple patch spots in it now and these hot glue stringies, and I just burnt my finger. Good times. Good times.
All for the camera.
So this is the modeling material. It's not as perfect. It's not as clean. I'm going to put that back in my ball. And I'll save that for later. Because I'm going to choose to cast these out of resin. So, you guys want to cast some resin? Alright, I'm going to do this down here on the floor. I'm going to do it on the floor. Can you see okay? This mold's a little long. Making sure that it's flat. Because I'm going to be casting it with a liquid, if it's not on a level surface, it's not going to cast properly. And then I just take a paper cup. You can tell I've used this, I use the same stuff over and over again. And we're going to mix up some casting resin. So this is amazing resin, only when I buy resin, I buy it by the gallon, because I'm big time. You need this much resin, good for you. No, I really go
And it's actually not just by the gallon, because it's the equal
gallons.
parts.
It's 2 gallons. Again, I get this from the manufacturer, which is Alumilite. And it's the same product as Amazing Resin, only it's in gallons. And I do it because I cast a lot of molds with the silicone molds from Redesign. And then, furniture repairs and anything like that. So this is equal parts. You've got to pour equal parts. There's an A and a B. So I'm going to take an A and I'm going to pour about half this cup. And this stuff is really forgiving. If my mixture is slightly off of the A or the B, it will still cast. Hot glue molds. Oh,
yeah, that thing's pretty sad.
Yeah, it is because my... Alright, well, it's going to be small sections. But we're still going to cast it.
To the floor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then this is my B side. Now this resin sets up in about 10 minutes.
Is that like a cassette?
That's to full setup. So you only have about 2 minutes to stir it and get it into your mold. So I stir it in my cup, the A and the B side together, make sure it's well mixed.
Sorry, you said B side and it just made me think of like a cassette.
Oh, I was like, what are you talking about?
Flipping. Oh, I see. So you just ignore me.
That's a super old reference.
Shocker.
Okay, and now I'm going to pour it into our 3 examples we've got here of different ways to make molds. I don't want this to tip. I usually will put my cup into a little spout. That's just so I can pour, and I'm going to pour it slowly. Kind of drizzle it into my mold.
It's like honey.
It's a liquid, so it's going to find all those low points. So that was one. That was the rubber mold. I should be on a level surface doing this, and I'm not. 2, and then we'll pour the hot glue.
And then I'll get a pry bar to pull that off the floor.
3. Seth, you want to go grab me a mold so I have extra resin? And I never waste my resin.
Just pick anything.
No, one of the, yeah. Hurry. Pick me one that's not that light blue color, because those are new releases that I can't show.
Just go get one. No, not that. No, not that one.
Yeah,
No.
One of the gray ones is good. We are getting new molds coming out. And I cannot show them to you. No.
So Jeanette says when she stirs it and mixes it, it turns into rubber really quick.
Which one? The resin? This resin does set up really quickly. You only have about a minute or so. See how quickly I'm having to pour this all? If I don't get it all into a mold,
Somebody start a clock and just watch how fast it turns.
it's already thickened. But if I don't get this into a mold quick, I end up with a nice casting of the shape of my cup. And then I'm just going to use a popsicle stick to feed this into the corners. So this is just an extra one. I never waste resin if I don't have to. I try to always have an extra mold on hand that I can pour. So we're going to let these set up. Okay, can you see it's already turning white? That's how quick it starts setting up. I cannot play with this anymore. It's done. So it's already turning white in there. These are going to start curing too. I can't touch them anymore.
Just because those are thicker.
So let's go back and take a look at our Dixie Mud. The mud we put on when we first started, because these take about 10 minutes to fully harden. So I'm going to let them sit for a minute. Let's come over and take a look at our mud. I'm going to move this to the side. And I just knocked over one of my molds.
Oh.
Again, you want to be doing this on a level surface with a flat mold. Yeah, that one looks okay. All right, so Dixie Mud, I told you guys, it sands really quickly. Faster than you're even going to believe. If you get Dixie Mud wet, it will reactivate.
I feel like this is an infomercial.
Yeah.
Faster than you'd ever believe.
So on this piece right here, this was a really huge chunk of missing veneer. I way overfilled it with my Dixie Mud. It's got quite a bit in there. I'm actually going to power sand this. So I'm just going to take my sander. Now when I sand Dixie Mud, I use a light grit of sandpaper. So you want it to be fairly soft. So I have a Surf Prep and they mark theirs. This is their very fine. This is very fine.
Like a 220?
They mark theirs. But yeah, but if you were using a regular sandpaper, it would be like a 220 grit. So I'm just going to take this and I'm going to start sanding it. See, it sands away really quickly. I'm getting a lot of dust. Yes, normally I would have my vacuum on, but it's really loud on camera and I don't have a mask on. See, and each step I go through, you see why I started with so much extra, because then I can really control at what point I call this level. I'd rather have too much. Okay, and this is one of the reasons why I didn't clean this, because I'm going to have to clean it again anyways. So that is really level with my surface. That is a nice, smooth patch job right there. But you can see I sanded it right up into the break of the veneer. And this, it was kind of like this. Can you see it's got that little cutout in there? That's the exact shape of my missing veneer. So same thing with this one on the bottom. Let's pull this out. And I need to sand into this corner right here. Way overfilled it. Are these drawers in the way? carving. I'm just using the tip of my sander to kind of control a spot where I feel like I need to sand more. Okay, I'm going to over sand this one, and that's because I want to show you guys how you would fix it if you over sand it. Okay, shoot, I over sanded it. Now I'm back to, I've got a big divot there. Like, that's not flat at all.
You can't.
Yeah, you can't tell.
There.
You can't tell, but I'm just going to, just trust me, it's not flat anymore. You can take your Dixie Mud and just skim yourself a new layer right over the top. And you're just going to go back until you feel like you have a flat enough surface. Now, I've had times too when I paint over Dixie Mud and it looks like it's level, it feels like it's level, but then I paint it and I'm like, oh, that wasn't level at all. It's okay. Then you just give yourself another layer of the mud over top of your paint, resand it, and give it another coat. So it's compatible with all the products in the Dixie Belle line so that you can repair it if you need. If you don't get it perfect the first time, that's okay. You see how easy it sands. This takes just a few minutes once it's dry. All right, so let's check out how my molds are doing. So I can feel they're still a little bit sticky, but once they've turned white, it's a solid now. It's not a liquid anymore, it's a solid. It's still a little sticky. When I touch it, it's a little soft. So they're not ready to demold yet, but they're getting there. They're setting up. So we're only a few minutes in and they look really good. So let me
We'll take a commercial break, come back, and then they'll be dry.
A word from our sponsor. Tonight's sponsor is Dixie Belle Paint.
Sunday, Sunday, Sunday.
So I'm going to come here and I'm going to sand this. We'll focus on this drawer a little bit because I need to glue these molds on. So let's get this drawer nice and cleaned up. Sad. So I've also got some, these are just like little crackling in my clear coat here. And if I paint over that, it's going to show through my paint. So I like to get those nice and smooth. So I sand out any uneven areas in my clear coat. I've got a scratch right here. So I'm using my same sanding pad, which is fairly fine, because I don't want to cut through my clear coat. I'm not trying to eliminate my clear coat. I'm just trying to smooth out these uneven areas. And they're surface scratches. They're in the clear coat itself. I've got some chipping going on in my clear coat right here. So if it's going to chip, I want to find it out now, because your paint is only as good as what you're putting it over. And if I've got areas in my clear coat, see how this is just a little, dry and chippy right here. So I want to sand through and get off whatever is going to come off. I'm going to take it off right now. I've sanded that smooth. That's as much as is what's going to come off right now. No more is coming off. So that was just a light sanding. Let's go ahead and clean this one. So I'm going to take my white lightning cleaner. I'm going to spray it over the face of my drawer. This is removing all my sanding dust. The dust that's created from using my Dixie Mud. And I have another repair right here I'm going to do real quick. So this repair is glue. And I'm going to use my Type On Quick and Thick, of course. So for this one here, I'm going to get a little bit of glue. I'm going to get it down into this crevice. I'm pulling it apart with my finger. See how this is loose right here? So I'm just going to get a little bit of my Type On wood glue down in there.
I'm like gravity doing.
And then I've also got a loose portion on the back here, just the back of the drawer. So I'm going to go ahead and glue that too. Okay, once there is glue there, I'm going to take a couple of my clamps and I'm just going to clamp that. So I'll usually sit here and do all my repairs. And then I let all this stuff dry overnight, and when I come back, this is going to be ready now to take. I'm going to put some Dixie Belle Boss and Clear on this. Oops. Alright, I'm going to use my finger to clean that glue up a little bit. When I put the clamps on, it wants to bulge out. And so this drawer is ready to accept my primer and my paint. Primer being the Dixie Belle Bond that I want to put on it. I've patched the veneer spots. I've sanded any damage in the clear coat, little chips or marks or anything that's in there. I'm going to put this missing molding on. I've glued my loose veneer. Let's go ahead and pop these out of the molds. See how we did. Or how many times I have to recast these. Yeah, if this is still too soft, let's try the hot glue one. Looks a little bit more done.
It's a hot mess.
It is, because I had a bubble in it. Alright, so this is the hot glue mold that we made, and I'm just going to work the mold around my resin, and it starts to pop. Can you guys see how the edge of the resin starts to pop? I'm just going to work it until I get this whole... And when you first cast the resin, it's nice and soft. So see how I can kind of pull it and it's got give to it? It's going to harden.
It's like string cheese.
Yeah. Delicious. Okay, let me show you what happened. Because I had a flawed mold.
Doo-doo.
I've got an air bubble right here and one right here that dried into my mold. So I've got two choices. I can recast this mold again. One right here too.
Here, hold on so I can recast your fingerprints and really get in some trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you guys see that? So overall, it's not terrible. Let's see. My hot glue, I didn't run it all the way to the bottom of my drawer, but that's a pretty good mold. I mean, that would be convincing. If I patched this little hole right here, that would be a pretty good replica. So my complaints about using hot glue is the air bubbles are tough. If you don't get your glue going consistently the whole time, it's really hard to patch the mold. You end up having to fix it, and then this can just be thrown away. You obviously don't need to keep this. But I made a duplicate using hot glue. So let's try, this is the one we made using clay. Now this demolds really, really easily, because I can just, I'm going to ruin my mold doing it. But I can just pull the clay away. Oh, my resin's too soft. I ripped my resin.
Oh, man.
Okay, but that makes a really nice mold, too. Had I not ripped my resin, that's what that one would look like. And then this is the rubber one I made. So this is, I can work this. I like this stuff because I can use it over and over again. And so, for example, this is one where I need to cast 3 of the same things. I'm going to reuse this rubber mold that I made. I'm being really careful because I could rip it easily here too, and I wasn't as careful on the clay.
So Dana wants to know what the blue putty was called?
That is... Let me show you the packaging. Okay, I ripped the label. Let's see if I have the piece. No. It's the same company that makes amazing resin. You guys see their name here? They have cool products. And this is their clay. It's Alumilite. Synthetic modeling says clay after it. Safe and non-toxic, reusable, non-drying. So this is cool because then I can take this blue clay. Let me get the resin off of it. Remove the resin, ball it back up, put it in my Ziploc,
and not make a moon rock.
And use it for next time, and not make a rubber ball out of it. So this is cool stuff. It does have flex when you're casting, so you want to make sure that you lay it on a level surface, because if you tweak your mold, because it's still soft when you're casting it, you're going to end up with a tweaked applique too. So this is by far the most perfect one out of the bunch. Let me get rid of this. This is the most perfect one out of the bunch. And that was done with the rubber. So there's 3 options of how you can duplicate a molding on your piece. So from here, I clean this with White Lightning. This is ready for a coat of my Dixie Belle Gloss and Clear. Just going to show you really quick how this would go on. And this gets us up to the point where I can just start painting it. But you'll see, this is a time, doing repairs is a time when I go through a piece and I'll get really well acquainted with my furniture piece. I pull the drawers out. I'm looking, is my glide loose? Do I need to nail or screw it? You know, am I missing a drawer stop? What's missing on my piece? This is where I take care of all of that stuff. So this is an older piece of furniture, and I haven't decided on the color yet.
So how does Dixie Belle Mud work with humidity? If you're putting a piece in a bathroom, or if you are...
It works great because you're going to seal it. You're going to put your sealant over the top. So if you're using it in a bathroom, the sealant you're going to want to use is Dixie Belle Gator Hide, which is water repellent. And it's going to encapsulate everything underneath that clear coat. It's going to be underneath your paint. I'm presumably going to do 2 coats of paint on this. 2 coats of clear coat. It's going to be underneath all of that. So all of that, it's not going to saturate through. I mean...
Ooh. Another big question. With the mold, notice I have to adjust the eye work too while I do this.
I'm waiting.
Yep.
The tension
the pause.
is building.
How do you adhere the mold or the piece that you cast?
Yeah, let's go ahead and put it on there.
What do you use?
I'm going to use Type-On Quick and Thick. The same wood glue that I used over here.
You got it slower so everybody can understand what you're saying.
Tight Bond.
Yes.
Quick and thick. Quick and thick. Quick and thick. I like it because it's quick.
It's quick and thick.
And it's thick. So I would take my drawer out and put it to level. Let me get to this side where it's going to work. I've already got this cleaned. I keep setting down my... I've got my little wormy here that I just cast. I'm going to put a little bead of glue on the back of it.
Of course. Apparently I got to fix this stool.
I'm going to make sure it's facing the right direction. So this mold has a little lip on it, and that faces towards the inside of the drawer. It's not the same on both sides. So I'm going to make sure it's facing the right direction. Make sure it's nice and straight. I can hold a flat edge up to it. So in this case, I'll use one of my popsicle sticks and hope they did good getting them straight in the manufacturing plant. I also have the advantage of having a little line, like I can see on the wood where it used to be. So that is glued in place. Now the Quick and Thick, it goes on thick. And it sets up quick. So I don't need to worry about the glue leaking out the sides of this and my mold like falling off my piece. I also put it out to level so that I don't have to worry about that. It's a little long on the ends. I can come back after that glue is dry and I'll just sand the ends of my resin off. And I've just duplicated this piece of molding on this furniture piece. Now I need to cast this 2 more times because I'm missing one here and over there. But I also wanted to show you, if you don't want to cast your original molding, you can also just take a decorative mold, and I could put, say, flowers going down the side here. So sometimes I use repairs as a way to, you know, I use finishes to camouflage it too. So I could take a decorative mold. These are just extra little scraps here, but I could put a bead of flowers down where this piece is missing, and then nobody would ever question that I'm missing this bead of molding right here. So you can use decorative finishes too. Where I've got these little pock marks in my clear coat, I could use sea spray and do a textured finish over. And nobody would ever question that that wasn't an intentional. So I use texture when I'm trying to camouflage damages in my existing finishes. You know, I can use molds where I want to cover something up or hide something. I've done where I'm missing a spot in my veneer. Somebody asked about Dixie Mud and whether it stains the same color, where I've had to patch in some Dixie Mud, but I want to do a wood stain top. I'll put a little piece of a transfer kind of casting over the top, covering that little patch job, and you don't even know it's there. So sometimes decorative finishes are great for covering up repair work too. So you guys can see this looks great. This one looks excellent. So that was the best result came out of the rubber, of course, but this is probably what people are least likely to have. It's all from the same company except for the, you know, the hot glue. The clay cast a good one, but I ripped it. So that's a dud. The hot glue, I need to either make a new mold if I want to continue that direction, because it's got an air bubble in it. So that's no good. So I'm going to reuse this rubber one that I cast, and then I could keep this if I want to use, and I got a mold if I want to make a frame on a very plain front piece. Now I've got a mold that I made. I will keep this. So this looks great. So what I'm going to do from here is I'm going to sand all this Dixie Mud, the little patches that we put on. It sands really quickly. All of this together, we've been on camera for a while, but all of this together, you know, I might take an hour doing all this, running my sander over the front when my mud is dry, making sure my mud's all level, getting my appliques all on. It might take an hour to do all these repairs and just get everything buttoned down to where I can put paint on this. So anyway, that's everything, all the love. These are really, really common repairs. Glue, your Titebond wood glue, your Dixie Mud, great things to have because you're going to need them regularly. If you want to fill hardware holes, you use your Dixie Mud for that. It is literally the consistency of mud, so you can patch just about anything that you could patch over with a mud with your Dixie Mud. So I hope that was helpful, you guys. I think that's the ugly part of working on furniture, is you don't often see, you know, there's even a step before the cleaning and before the priming. You have to go even further back than that to the cleaning or to the repair jobs. So hope that answers some questions. I'm going to let you guys go. I will go ahead and put a link up for where you can get the rubber product and the clay that I showed tonight, that are both, you can use either one of those for casting, and also the resin. They're all three from the same brand. But anyway, thank you guys for popping on with me. I'm going to let you go. You guys have a great weekend. It's Thursday. You've almost made it through another week, and thank you so much for hanging out with me tonight. Go follow me at Brushed by Brandy. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, and YouTube. I put my affiliate link for Dixie Belle at the top. I get a small percentage of sales made through there, so I always appreciate you using my link. It ships directly from Dixie Belle, and the prices are the same for you. You can also use that link to find your local retailer. A lot of our local retailers are back open and doing business. You can go into shops again with a mask. So things are getting back, and our retailers are opening back up. So support your small businesses and check those out at my link in the post. But thank you guys so much. Have a good week.